Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Powerful on Purpose podcast, where we bring you amazing, brilliant women who are really using their story to build businesses, impact the world. And I think you're in for a delight today. I'm envisioning this is going to be a fun conversation with my guest, Lauri Smith, because Lauri is a speaker, author, coach, and host of the Untamed Leader Podcast. So she's already right in our world, right? We like a little bit of untamed here. She treats leadership as a sacred art that raises consciousness, guiding us home to our true selves. Lauri helps wild-hearted leaders and loving rebels transform the vibe in the room when they speak so they can ignite meaningful change. So see, you're in for a great conversation. Welcome, Lauri.
Thank you so much, Leslie. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. It's great to have you here. So I always love to start with what people are doing and kind of what's that story that brought you to combine the things you're doing and talk about, right? Wild-hearted leaders and loving rebels.
Yeah. Well, I will share the kind of the pivotal moment that when I look back, it keeps revealing itself and even revealing deeper layers of how I ended up where I am now. I was working as an executive assistant during the day in the Silicon Valley, which I now call one of the most masked up places in the world. And I was doing theater at night and on the weekends. And I was in my favorite theater class of all time. And on this particular day, I was up there all by myself. Normally, when you would get up to work, it would be with at least one other person, if not three other people. And I kept resetting and doing that, I'm fine, with armor in front of the heart and jaw tension and I'm capable, I'm all pulled together, nothing to see over here. And my teacher, Richard, watched the exercise, took off his glasses. It was a thing that I saw a couple times through the years. And he said, whatever that is you're doing in between the mini vignettes, I don't know if you're trying to pull yourself together or something, stop doing that. And I said, I'm not that comfortable having everyone's eyes on me. And he looked at me and he said, then you've picked a strange set of careers for yourself. Part of you wants this. Part of you knows you're meant to be here. And it was like it went through all of those defense mechanisms and really struck a chord with me, even back in time to my younger self who had been playing make-believe in the backyard garage, talking to herself freely. And I also deeply trusted him and the space that he held. So I jumped back into the exercise and was managing, releasing my inner critics and soul suckers from controlling the experience and releasing the jaw tension and softening the muscles and the armor in front of my heart. And it felt like I was burning up in some kind of fire and ice situation. And when the exercise was over and I looked out at my classmates, I could see and feel what kind of a state everyone was in. It was my first moment of oneness that lasted beyond the acting or happened outside of the playing of a sport. And what I realized about a year ago was it was what I decided to do was to allow myself to be the version of me that everyone had been telling me consciously and unconsciously I couldn't or shouldn't be for my whole entire life. Wild, weird, emotional, intuitive, tamed, right. Which then led, once that layer came in, to changing the name of my podcast to Untamed Leader and helping other people untame, because the tamed version of people is what kind of created us being in the state that it's part of, what created the world being in the state that it's in. We can't actually change it from tamed. We can change it faster, better, with a more natural flow feeling from actually being who we are, the untamed version of ourselves as leaders in the world.
I love that. I got chills. See, everybody, I told you this would be a great conversation. That is such a universal feeling, right? That we don't recognize or that we push aside. Like you said, I'm tamping it down, right? Until somebody actually says, wait a minute, what's going on all up in there?
Yeah. Which is what I love to do for people now. One of my favorite places to do it is in groups that are like the size of a theater class, where it's 9 to 12 people, enough to have the feeling of, I'm not that comfortable having everyone look at me, and feel safe enough to take the risk to show up as our full selves, which then makes the leap to doing that out in the world as the leader, the one holding the space like he was, easy.
Right. And I think because we're naturally, you think about us as kids, right? We're naturally leaders. Like, we say what we mean, we go on, we interact, but like we do our own jam and really lead from that. And it really is the world that imposes on us. So if we can come back to that, you're right. What a freeing thing in so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there's a harmony that humanity wants to reach. And the way that we reach that is everybody being themselves, using their instrument and putting their voice into the conversation. And right now it's like we got the human equivalent of the drums trying to play louder to fix things. And the string section is kind of going, does my voice matter? The drums are never going to bring what the strings can bring.
Yeah, it is all the symphony, melting pot, whatever you want to use as an analogy. It's all, everybody's voice is important to be heard. And you're right, there are lots of drums right now. And that's a great way to sort of take it out of politics or anything else, right? Because it really isn't necessarily about that. It is and it isn't. And that could be like multiple podcasts.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. And you know, there are a lot of different kinds of leaders and places that people are called to lead. And once we untame, there are no shoulds. So like, you know, if somebody asked me to run for office, I would say that's not what I'm here to do.
Right.
And there are people, believe it or not, where it is their calling to do that. They're passionate. They do still exist. They're passionate about it. They light up. It's not my jam. And I remember at some point somebody asking, like, Oprah, you're so charismatic, why don't you run for office? And she was like, that's not what I'm here to do. And I thought, well, what if everyone was equally charismatic? Then could we all go be who we're meant to be and have the impact in the world that we are each meant to have?
Right. And when I'm connecting the dots, that is what you're helping people do, right? Tap into that charisma, and it's going to look different for me and you and everybody else. But what is it for you that lights you up, gives you energy, passion, and how do we bring that forth so it can be untamed in the world?
Yeah. And similar to you, I work with people on everything from like they have a talk and they want an outside eye to watch it and tune it more to them and more to the impact that they want to be having. And I also have a group community, and I feel like I'm your doppelganger or your mirror image, because I love to work with people who are birthing that's got a why that's bigger than themselves into the world, particularly when it's going to go through a verbal format. Not that they won't also write a book, because as you know, some people love to do both. And I've been saying for a few weeks now, if you are just interested in the writing right now, I'm not the best person for you. I know people like Leslie who will help you birth it in that written. I love to help people who are going to do talks, who are going to go on podcasts, who are going to possibly facilitate salons where people have important discussions about the state of the world. If it's coming through their voice, I get lit up, and I send I don't want to talk now. I just want to write. Like, I want to go into that format. I send them your way.
Well, yeah, which is so interesting, right? Because I think in some ways, that's kind of like what lights me up too, except it's a different avenue, right? Now we take this spoken and turn that into a book or chapter, whatever it is. And we eliminate this space, because I'll tell you, that's one of the things I realized about me. I'm a nonlinear thinker, which apparently means that my brain and my hands need to be working in sync. Like if I'm typing, then my brain's not working, right? So audio to text is totally my jam.
Nice.
But yeah, it's also like I can super identify with what you're talking about, because I always knew I thought differently than the rest of the world, but I didn't know how that was. And I always thought it was me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that there's something wrong with us because we're different, when in reality, it's like snowflakes, fingerprints, charisma, the way our brains work. And the more we learn about neurodivergence, and it's like no two brains work exactly the same. There are themes and there are ways that became the norm that the more I sit with it, feel like somehow that came from fear. Like, I love the Albert Einstein quote, intuition is a sacred gift and the rational mind is the faithful servant. He was a freaking genius. We all know it. And yet the rational mind got prioritized. And I know that I go to the rational mind more when I'm in a space of scarcity. And sometimes I wonder, what percentage of the population does things the normal way innately? There are some, or the normal way, the mainstream way, probably would not have been created. But I don't think it's 51% of the world really loves to live and operate from their rational mind or spreadsheets.
But you're right. And how much of it is conditioning too, right? Like, I can't tell you how many jobs, and I started to get very clear, like, if you just want the same thing that you've been doing, I'm not your person. And yet they'd still hire me. And then you'd say, we could do this better. Like, we could serve more people. We could save money, whatever it is. Nope. Always done it this way. Nope.
Yeah.
Always done it this way. And
yeah.
So it's part of that is conditioning, that this is a rule. We can't break a rule kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what is a process that you help people through? I assume when people come to you, and maybe not, do they specifically want to speak, or they just feel a calling to also increase their leadership abilities, and if speaking comes, then that's fine?
Most of the time they specifically want to speak, and it might not be on a TED, they might not be picturing the TED Talk stage or keynotes. They do know that they're wanting to share their message with the world through their voice. And if they do have a talk, one of my favorite ways of working these days is the Tune Your Talk thing, where they send me a video or invite me to go see their talk. I watch it. I have a background in theater as an actor, a voice coach, not singing, but speaking, and a director. So I watch their speech and I take notes on what's going on with their presence, what's going on with their delivery that could make it better. Like, I'm the antenna for the listener or the audience's experience. When did they rush past something too fast for me to emotionally digest it? When is the energy dragging? These are common ones. When did they shortcut a story? Like, they're sort of giving the plot of the story, but they're skipping over the juiciest scenes in the story. And that because of that theater background, I'm always feeling for what is the emotional or energetic journey and making that richer. And so I'll meet with them, give them my notes, work with them a bit, and then give them a roadmap to go off and continue to work on their own if there's more to do to make it even better. And usually there's at least a couple of, like, practice this with it until it feels right to you or something like that. And my favorite, not favorite change that someone experienced, because I don't love focusing on money. I'm more interested in the why and the impact. And sometimes people love tangible metrics. I worked with someone who was an established, pretty good, she was a very good speaker who just needed outside help, needed someone else to look at it. And she was like, well, I'm only getting like 4 signups for my mailing list. And I watched the talk and did all the kinds of things, speed up here, slow down here, more detail in this story. And the day after we had our one-on-one meeting, she got 28 signups.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to me, that's 28 people who transformed more while she was talking before she ever said, do you want to take the next step with me? And it's 28 people who might transform even more because of how she can serve them.
Absolutely.
Rather than like, okay, she got 28 more people to make 28 possible more packaged dollars. It's the world changing through her work that lights me up about that.
Right. Absolutely. And you bring up a really important point. Then did I just lose it? About speaking and using that as a business tool, right? And the importance of having sort of that journey wherever we speak, maybe, right? I think because I'm also hearing you, probably she's more conscious now of how she expresses herself in general.
Yeah, she's more conscious of how those patterns might show up on a podcast interview or a networking introduction. That's another thing that I love about that is it's like, we're going to work with one thing that you have, and you're going to notice things that may be patterns, so that it's not like you need to come back to me for every single talk you're ever going to give in your life. You may never come back to me or anyone else again. Some people just work better when there's another person there. So they might, when they retire that talk and move on to another one, they might hire someone, me or someone else, to look at the next one. And our habits tend to be our habits. And people's eyes will light up when they realize, oh, that's a pattern everywhere that I'm talking, like with my husband, on a podcast, in a meeting room around one of those tables with 12 other people, and whenever I step on a stage. And another one of the things that I love about working with it in a talk is if you can change your pattern in that kind of a high stakes environment, then it can ripple out and make every other place easier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think, because there was a point I wanted to make, and you really hit on it there, communication being so, in some ways, so high stakes anymore, right? We're not practicing it as maybe as much as we used to in olden days, right? We have other forms. And even this, in my opinion, is communication. And people get weirded out by this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about the fact that we're not, it's changed in the post-pandemic world. Speaking, air quotes, means something different. It does not always mean live in the same room, possibly with a red carpet on the ground. It means podcasts, it means webinars, it means Zoom meeting. Particularly after the pandemic, the speaking landscape has changed forever. I never really put together that because of technology, we're all communicating less. Like, I can text you. I don't need to pick up my landline and call you to tell you something. I can text you, I can email you, I can WhatsApp message you, I can Instagram message you. We can do it this way much more than we used to.
Right. Yeah.
So it can make this or live on a stage feel even more high stakes than, they've said for years. It's one of the most high stakes things. Some people would rather die than give a talk. It can make it feel even more high stakes than it did, say, when I was a kid growing up.
Right. And I'm taking it, especially since you were in theater, you never had that fear. Because I've also heard that fear, which to me seems crazy, right? But I was in debate in high school. So you had to get over that fear pretty quick.
Yeah, I was definitely called to do it. And that I'm not that comfortable having everyone's eyes on me. And he went, part of you wants this. I had a push-pull with it. I don't know if I would have described it as fear, but there were times when I was hiding. Like, I just flashed on, there was a moment in a play when I was like 19 years old where I had really long hair at that point, down past the camera line. And I was playing a teenage character that had gotten high, and her parents were there. So I had came up with this, incredibly hysterical creative moment where I was like trying to hide from my parents and just did this like long zoning out on my own hair moment. But I was doing it with like my back turned 75% away from the audience. And the woman playing my aunt had that aunt kind of energy. And she just walked out there and she was like, "I'm sorry. Hello, director. She's doing this moment that is hysterical. Honey, why is your back turned to the audience while you're doing it?" And I was like, I thought maybe I would be upstaging the other person. And the director was like, "Well, how am I going to know if you don't let me see it? So next time we run the play, find a way to let us see you." And she was like, "It's not too upstaging for the moment. So change your blocking so that you're facing the audience." Right. So I had that like, is this okay? Like, I'm going to show up and be seen, but like, can somebody tell me it's okay? Now I'm much more like, I'm going to do the thing. And if you want me to pull back, because I'm 53 now, 19, not 19, among other things, and I'm more untamed. So I'll do the thing and you tell me if it's too far. I trust you to tell me if I'm upstaging someone else. But my job is to like be like the raw paint colors that just goes splat, 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 splat.
Exactly. Yes. Super love that. Well, we could probably talk all day. I was going to say I have multiple questions, but I know you have a gift for the audience. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I am embarrassed because I can't remember which one I sent you. Did I send you a quiz?
It's Take the Speaker Alter Ego Quiz, which
Yes.
it falls in line, right? What we were talking about, to reveal the mask that dims your, I love this, 1 in 8 billion radiance.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. That's the what is your version of the jaw tension and the armor in front of the heart? There's 5 different ones, and generally we use combinations of them. So I created the quiz. I personally have used regularly 3 of the 5. There's 2 that I'm like, I don't think I've ever done that. And they're not us. The masks are not us. They're parts of us that we may be showing the world and hiding the rest of us behind the mask. And over time, it can become like carpal tunnel. So I'm pretty smart. I'm actually less smart than I thought when I created the quiz. But I've had times where I hid behind the heady hipster mask because I thought I was supposed to appear a certain kind of intelligent. And I had enough of it to go, well, I'll show you this part of me. And then it becomes like, I've only been showing you that part of me. So now the muscles are stuck and I only have that thing available. And releasing the mask is like, okay, it's not that I'm not ever going to let you see my intelligence, but I'm going to open up the dexterity of all of my 1 in 8 billion radiance so that I have access to everything that feels natural to me. And that's where the charisma is. So knowing what the mask is sometimes helps us let go of it.
I love that. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that seems juicy. I might have to take that one myself. So
Awesome.
What do you feel like, one last question, what do you feel like people are operating brilliant or radiance level at currently?
Planet-wide?
Well, I guess we could go planet-wide, but I was thinking, maybe, let's go planet-wide. Why not? Let's go big.
Yeah, the number that popped into my head is 20%.
Interesting.
Only allowing as a whole 20% of our innate radiance to shine through. I would say that the people that I work with are probably somewhere between 50 and 70. Like it is showing up, and it depends on the context. I'm talking about whatever is their most challenging environment. They may only be like a light bulb on a dimmer. They're at like 50 to 70%. And the path to 100 is not through somebody's cookie cutter plan. It's not through what you wear. It's not through better slides. It's through release anything that is not you and be you, and the radiance will go up. And then the impact increases. And then the people that are designed to work with us know it because they see it and feel it.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. Like I said, we could go on, but I want everybody to think about your radiance, your brilliance as you go out in the world. So thank you so much, Lauri. Fun conversation. Really hit some things that I think so many, particularly women, resonate with and have those experiences, and need that person to say, you are so much more brilliant than what you're showing us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everybody else, be sure and subscribe because you don't want to miss more powerful conversations with women just like Lauri, who are really using their story to build a business, but beyond that, really create impact in the world and support other women while they're doing it.